All right, and we are live. So hello everyone, welcome to the third 30 Under 30 live chat this month for November. For those who don't know me, my name is Emily Birds. I am the NSCAA Marketing Coordinator as well as 30 Under 30 Program Liaison and one of your hosts for today. I am very excited to be joined here today by one of our amazing alumni moderators, Angie Snider. Angie is at Elkhorn Soccer Club in Omaha, Nebraska. Hi, Angie. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Emily. Thanks for having me and allowing me to moderate and host this chat. I'm really excited.
Yeah, it's going to be a great one today. Today's topic is changing tides, establishing a new culture in an existing program. We're very excited to have some of our 30 Under 30 panelists here with us today. First off, we have Ryan Robertson out in St. Louis with Maplewood Richmond Heights High School. Hi, Ryan.
Hey, how are you doing?
Great, great. Next, we have Raleigh DeRose out at Brown University in Rhode Island. How you doing?
Doing well. Nice to be here.
Great. Next, we have Mary Whisler out in California at St. Mary's College of California, as well as Livermore Fusion Soccer Club. How you doing, Mary?
Doing good. How are you?
Great, great. And next, we have Chris Moraga, also out in California at Whittier College. Hi, Chris.
Hi, everybody. How you doing?
Great. All right, guys. Well, very excited to get this started off. So, Angie, let's take it away.
Great. So I just kind of wanted to introduce the topic a little bit and how it came about. So I've been talking to a lot of coaches and as coaches do, we're always talking to each other about our experiences and our cultures and a lot of the problems that we face. And something that kept coming up that was thematically really similar is just to shift your culture towards something that's sustainable is one of development and excellence. And there's always a lot of pushback when you're trying to do that. And so for me, I just wanted to be able to open it up a discussion and have some good conversation about confronting these problems and some of the creative solutions that we come up with every day that's either universal or maybe even just unique to our own situations. So I just want to kick it off with our first question. I'm going to pitch this one out to Raleigh. In a few sentences, could you explain the culture of your organization?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to. The culture of the team that I'm currently coaching is one of excitement. I would say right now there's a very positive vibe with us just finishing our first season as a coaching staff with the girls. However, though, as a new coaching staff, we're coming into a program that does have a very rich tradition of success and in history as well, with it being one of the first collegiate programs open on the women's side in NCAA Division I, and then also with 12 Ivy League championships, something that has certainly had a lot of success, but has been lacking to show that success since 1994, so in the mid-90s. So we would very much like to be a part of a culture that's bringing that back in the coming years, both putting our school back on both a conference and national scene. Now, with that, the girls have very much bought into what we've implemented in the past couple months and what we implemented upon our start date back in the winter actually of 2016. So definitely exciting and definitely positive, but the changes that we're making within our culture are coming from a standpoint of having more accountability on the players' end and perhaps taking soccer a bit more seriously than perhaps they have in the past.
Great. Thanks for sharing. And if the rest of you wouldn't mind, kind of explaining the culture of your club as well, so we can kind of understand your approach to follow-up questions. Chris, why don't you go ahead and go next and explain the culture of your organization?
Yeah, no problem. So I've now been with Whittier College, just finished my fourth season. When I entered, we had been a sub 500 team for the majority of 10 years. Our head coach, Monica Gerardo, has been there. Now just finished her sixth. My first 2 years, we had only won one game each season. And then my last 2 years, actually, we just missed our conference tournament by 1 point in the last 2 years. So it's been a dynamic change for us, but the change has been so successful because of our ability to really implement our own culture in a program that had struggled for so long. being able to have kids be able to buy into not only just the on-field tactical and technical aspect, but really the off-field issues, team bonding, making sure that we're all on the same page on what we represent as student athletes. And I think the change has been so successful for us in the last 2 years because we actually have a core group of girls that all buy into what we're trying to teach and what we believe in on and off the field. And I think that has made our team dynamic so great in the last couple of years, is that if you can get a kid to really buy into what you believe in, I think that everything else falls into place. So that's where I'm coming from in my college scene right now.
Great, thanks for sharing. And then Ryan, if you wouldn't mind.
All right, so I actually have a very unique situation. I work at the high school that I actually played for. So I've been involved with the team directly since I was a player in 2003. And then once I graduated from high school in 2007, I would come back on summer breaks and still work out with the team just to help out. And I was actually fortunate enough to be a volunteer assistant coach. And then eventually I was a paid assistant coach for 3 years. And here we are now. This is my third year as a full-time head coach, and we just got done with the best season in school history. We reached the state championship game. We lost in that, so we finished second in the state, which a culture of kids that have just bought into each other and bought into not being perpetual losers and just accepting that as their reality. And I think the big thing is the investment that the players have shown in each other. Just for example, my last year as an assistant coach, we had just 6 wins on the season, 6-18. First year as a head coach, 12-1. Next year, 20-5. This year, 22-6, I believe. So huge turnaround, and I think it's all more not necessarily the soccer change; it's more the relationship change amongst the team.
Great. Thanks for sharing. And then Mary, if you wouldn't mind going next. Hold on, we got to unmute you.
You
Ready?
Am I good?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to bounce back and forth between the college and club, but for this question, I'm going to just talk to it from the club perspective since college has been touched on a little bit. Our culture at my club is to really focus from top to bottom, bottom to top. We want every kid from our rec program to our select program to our premier program to feel that they have attention and that they have quality coaching, to make sure that our eyes hit every kid, not just those top MPL teams we have at the premier level. So we make sure we spend our time developing our U6s, our U7s, our U8s, even from our DOC out to our technical directors, we're working with our rec kids. So our culture basically is to kind of create like this family within a club, and where we don't have to spend our time recruiting outside clubs and so on to come over and switch. California is very, very competitive on that basis, but we want to spend our time and develop this family-like atmosphere within ours. And I really like that we go from our idea is to go from rec to select into premier. So that's kind of the culture we built, is just a family-oriented one, starting with our U7s, U8s, and so on all the way up to our U18s, U19s.
Sounds great. And so how long have you been with that club specifically?
Not long at all, probably about 4 months.
Okay, sounds good. So from what it sounds like, we've got a great range of perspectives here. We've got people who have just been with their programs for just a couple of months. And Mary, I think that's similar for you on the college side as well. Same with Raleigh, just been there, wrapped up first fall season. We had people who've been there for maybe 2 years. And then Ryan, sounds like you've been really involved with your program for the most part, for the better part of almost,
For sure.
5 years or so, at least from a coaching perspective. So that's really great. So I'm really excited because I think that's going to give us a good discussion and a wide range of perspectives. So Ryan, would you mind addressing a primary struggle that you've had and an approach that you've taken to address it?
Absolutely. So I think the biggest thing, like I was talking about a minute ago, was that we just had a bad attitude, not necessarily terribly against each other, but there was just a lack of confidence throughout the team. And I can tell you the very first game that I ever coached, it was a preseason game, and I showed the team the lineup pregame, and I can recall that one of my players who is now a great center back. It was his first time playing center back, and I showed him lineup. He's like, I don't know, this is not going to be good. And he actually told that to the goalie. So how did I address that? Right on the spot in front of the whole team, I scratched him out of the lineup and put in a freshman, just to show the team that we cannot keep perpetuating negativity. And that it's that little thing right there of building up the positivity, support your teammates, and that will eventually grow. So you either allow negativity to grow or you foster positivity, and that's how I handle that.
Great way to handle stuff. Be positive, and I think that's really important for a coach because positivity comes from the leadership. You got to show them how to be positive and the ways to do that. So that sounds like a great solution to that problem. Anyone who wants to jump in next? Chris, do you want to discuss a primary struggle that you've had?
Yeah, so the two really, when you think about a struggling program and then trying to make the program successful, I think one is belief. Believing that you actually can be successful. It's tough to struggle for such a long time, but making the players and understanding that it's not the easiest thing to do, but having them believe in what you're trying to accomplish. And then I think accountability is such a big thing. Making sure you make the off-season workouts, making sure that on season that you really are focused. You're really attentive to the details that we're giving out, because the less accountability that you have on the team, the harder it is for those changes and that transition to be made, and for people to buy into your culture. So I think really being focused on those two have been the biggest keys to our success the last couple of years, is having kids buy in, believing in what we're doing, and being able to have each other hold each other accountable when something's not going right. So those are the two things that we really focused on.
Sounds good. Yeah, that's great. Raleigh, would you like to discuss this?
Certainly. I definitely can relate to Christopher's points when he was speaking about accountability and having kids buy into a certain culture. And something that we've done with our program here, and I think it's very much done us wonders, is increase the accountability standards. First and foremost, and the first thing that comes to my mind is our fitness testing in the beginning of the season. In order for you to start for our program, you had to pass the fitness test. And there were girls on the first day that didn't pass. However, we gave them a couple days to regroup and recover. And within the next 3 days, the girls that didn't pass reran the fitness test. And every single member of the team came out to the track to help them pass that test, whether that's running the last lap with them, running the last 100 meters, or standing on the other end of the track, telling them their time they're halfway through a lap, or halfway through a mile, or halfway through an 800. And that accountability also fostered a positive culture and a culture where we support one another. And I have to say that by the end of the year, every single girl did pass. So for that to happen, I think that comes from leadership within the program, and developing those leaders to buy into a program and to buy into the accountability and to encourage those that are struggling. And I also think that it certainly fosters, again, like I said, positivity and support for those that when and where they need it.
Great. That sounds great. Then Mary, would you like to touch on this? Mary, you there?
So kind of to basically address that right away before letting it keep going was kind of the one thing that I wanted to make a point to. Not there at the very high level, girls can get on each other and they can respond in a positive way. And that's not true for all female players. I'm only speaking for females. I can't say I've coached at the high level for men. So kind of just basically expressing to them and doing some team bonding stuff where they needed to understand that communication is good to get on each other, but how do you do it in a way that your teammate responds, not just shuts down? So that was something that we worked on right away, just through did a little bit of blindfold communication exercises, and you heard a lot of go this way, and it's like, well, your player's blindfolded, you need to draw away. And that's kind of something that we did kind of that we get on. But otherwise, it feels like we've taken a million steps back, but I just keep pushing it forward. So that would be all I really have on that.
Great. Sounds great. Yeah, I think I've had similar experiences too. For myself, if I'll just kind of throw my 2 cents in, is I had a new team this year and they're coming out of our rec program into a more competitive program, and they are starting to learn how to hold each other more accountable, competitive, and to push each other. And they're kind of getting to that point where they might be pushing each other, but they might not be doing it in a positive way. So yeah, I really kind of agree and really love hearing that, you know, once it's more than holding each other accountable. It's the way that we do it in a positive way so that you can get everybody to buy in and trust, not just trust in our leadership, but from us as coaches, but also in each other and the leadership that they have for each other. So, you know, I think everyone kind of more or less kind of really touched on that idea of accountability and positivity and getting people to buy in. So that's great.
Looks like we lost Mary for a second, so hopefully we will get her back, but we'll keep plugging along here. Angie, you want to start with the next question then?
I can address the next one if you guys want.
Yeah, Chris, why don't you jump in on this next question?
Yeah, so yeah, Chris, if you wouldn't mind, you know, what are some of your, you know, biggest blockers, or who are some of your biggest naysayers, and how are you navigating this relationship with these people?
Well, besides working at the college, I'm a technical director at FC Premier in Southern California. Just kind of a quick background, we're a smaller base club, we're about 40 teams, boys and girls, and we're surrounded by big clubs like Beach FC, Strikers, Slammers, so pretty competitive clubs with hundreds of teams. So right now we're in transition to making sure that we implement a path of soccer education for our not only our players but our coaches. And the bounce back right now that we're having is some coaches that are kind of set in their ways and that they don't want change. But even though the change is good for the culture and it's betterment of the kids, they're fighting it. So the approach that I've taken is made sure that I've been taking baby steps with them, not just forcing everything on them at once, saying, no, these are all the changes we're going to make, but just being aware that, you know, these are human people that you're working with. They're not just some average Joes. You know, they're people that are passionate about what they do. They're people that care about, you know, the time that they spend on the field. So just making sure that anytime you're implementing changes that I don't feel that it has to be all at once. I think you have to be understanding that you know, there might be some bounce back because they're afraid of the unknown. So I feel that if you can show them that, look, at these are the changes that we made and the upside to these things, that they'll start to buy in piece by piece. So it's not always easy making new changes and working with a mass amount of people that have their own beliefs and philosophies. But if you know, we've done a good job of making sure we've been implementing little at a time, just to show them the positive sides of what we want to achieve, to make the transition a lot more smooth.
Sounds great. Yeah.
New culture.
Yeah, definitely. Ryan, did you have anything that you would like to, you know, jump in on this topic?
I would say that I'm fortunate enough to not have any huge naysayers. The biggest thing that I have are actually well-meaning parents and staff around the school that may be telling me, hey, coach doesn't look so good. You don't have many good 8th graders coming up or 7th graders, which they're just trying to warn me of what is or isn't coming down the pipeline. But I think as a coach, you know, you always welcome people giving you some kind of intel, but it's also, you have to have faith in the players that you do have and in your coaching abilities that you can work with whatever you get. For me as a high school coach, I don't get to choose my players. I work at a public school. Whoever comes out to play soccer is going to be on the team. So with that being the case, you know, what can we do with the players that we have, and how can we make them reach their potential? And it's, you always want people that, you know, if they're even telling you about that, that means that they care. So it's nice to have people that care, and you just take whatever they say with a grain of salt. But at the end of the day, you're the coach, and you're going to have to make the moves happen one way or another.
Right. Great. And then Mary, I don't know if you kind of caught this, what the question was, but we're kind of talking about who some of your biggest blockers or biggest naysayers might be, and how you navigate this relationship with these people. You're muted. So we can get
we still have Mary. Mary, you want to hit your unmute?
Working on it.
There we go.
Hey, we can hear you.
Are we here?
Yep.
Yes.
Sorry. But anyways, naysayers, I want to say one of the things I've come into encounter was now that I've joined coaching at the Division I level, a lot of people have a hard time with me not having played Division I. So the one thing that I've just always done is to make sure that I've had to work a little bit harder to show, I guess, put more hours in, make sure I'm training them, not overstep. But I have noticed that would be probably the biggest thing that I've had to come encounter with was just one that I get a game still at that level. How can I show that my decisions and my understanding of the game is at that speed? So just working a little bit harder, studying film, listening to the people I'm constantly around, putting myself in situations with high-level coaches where I'm learning the way they think, and then putting myself in position. That kind of coaches who I am and what I think that I know and so on. So that's what I've kind of come into encounter.
Okay, great. Thanks for your insight and input. And then Riley, are there any naysayers or detractors that you'd like to talk about how you navigate those relationships?
Absolutely. One thing that I'm learning the more and more I develop as a coach, with this being my third season in the collegiate side of college of coaching, nobody can always be happy. Whether it's somebody's not receiving the amount of playing time that they would like, or somebody didn't have that email saying that they were on the travel roster, or it can spectrum into the recruiting side as well. And one thing that's really helped me at both the program that I'm a part of now and the program that I was coaching at previously is just making sure that you have continuity with your coaching staff, and when those naysayers do come in, to really just make sure that we lean on each other, and that we also say, we're going to stand by this decision, and this is what's going to happen, and we believe this because A, B, and C. And when you have those people to talk about those naysayers, or maybe something that somebody said that maybe affected you in a negative way, and you feel a little bit internalized by it, or you feel attacked, it's something that you have to go talk with the rest of your staff about. And I'm really grateful for the people that I've been able to surround myself with this job and my past job as well, because it comes from somebody's not getting enough playing time, and they come into your office and they're upset. We deal with that from a video perspective, and we show them previous film, and we make sure that all the coaches are on the same page about that. From a recruiting standpoint, we didn't recruit somebody that others thought that we should, or maybe we recruited somebody that people thought we didn't. But again, having confidence in our decisions and moving forward with them, whatever they may be, is very important to myself and to people I've been surrounded by.
That's great. Guys, thanks for such good answers, because I think, just to kind of wrap up what everybody said, it sounds like, you're always going to have detractors, we're always going to have naysayers, and depending on the nature of that naysaying, if you will, there's, there are different ways to look at that. And I think, surrounding yourself with good people who support you is important. If people think that there's some kind of shortcoming that you have, or some kind of any kind of shortcoming that you might have, just working harder and believing in your ability, and showing them that you can do it, either through the work that you do, or believing in yourself to get the results. And also, if you're implementing changes, just understanding where they're coming from, empathizing with the people who are resistant, and only giving them a little bit at a time to help them kind of, start to ride with the changes that you see for yourself. So great answers from everybody. And I think we got some really diverse, interesting answers there. Riley, if you wouldn't mind talking about, or maybe, Chris, let's talk about this one, because you kind of touched on this with your last question. Big change is often the result of smaller changes, as you started to talk about. Can you talk about a little bit more detail about some of these successes that you've had with regarding changing the culture of your club?
Yeah, so some of the things, like I said earlier, was the big thing is not making sure that we implement so much at once. Big deal is that when you're asking a coach to maybe change what they or how they have coached in the past, that on ideas that they've used for such a long time, that could kind of be overwhelming, or it could be, I guess, it's a touchy subject because you're telling them that there could be a better way to do it. And it's kind of scary because it is such an unknown thing for a lot of these coaches. So like I said, just implementing small steps at a time. So with our curriculum, we've initially asked them that you look at periodizing your training sessions, making sure you're focused on certain things at a time. And then this upcoming year, we're actually going to give them lesson plans that they're going to have to follow on the topics that we want kids to develop on throughout the year. So it could have been scary just to tell a coach right away, here's your lesson plan, implement it, rather than developing a foundation on why we're actually going to be making these changes, to give them a sense of comfort and understanding of why we're doing what we're doing, rather than just saying, here it is, do it. So those small steps have been a lot easier for us. And I think this next step for us on actually giving them lesson plans will really help this next step and part of our transition.
Sounds good. Yes, sounds good. And if you don't mind a follow-up, how do you plan to hold these coaches accountable for the lesson plan? Because I know in my experience, I've been at clubs where I've been part of an organization where our technical director gave us a lesson plan or some kind of model of topics to follow over the course of the season. And I always did my best to try and learn and adapt to that, but I would always look around and see that maybe coaches aren't on the same page. So, and coaches tend to do what they want to do sometimes still. And so what are your plans, at least going forward, to kind of make sure that these coaches are being held accountable to your vision as a club?
Yeah, so the big thing and the exciting part for us in the spring is that we're going to hold everybody accountable by having academy-based training. So all the teams at each age group will be training on one facility at least one night a week. So what we'll do is we'll be handing out our lesson plan and saying this is what we should be covering. And as a technical director, I'll be able to walk around, work with multiple teams at the different levels, and not only just support our coaches, because once again, I think the biggest scare or the biggest fear of change is not knowing how to implement the change as a coach. So being a support to the coach at the time will allow us to help the coaches and get over that fear. And then lastly, too, I think making people feel that they're valued and being able to allow people to voice their opinions. So our plan also as well is allowing some of our coaches that have been around for a while to say, you know what, you've been around this age group for a while. What are your thoughts on what we should be developing within our topic? And giving somebody else a say in the change will allow people to buy in and feel a part of what we're trying to implement in the change. So I think those are the two biggest ways that we're excited this spring to allow and hold coaches accountable to help us change.
Great, thanks for sharing. And Raleigh or Ryan, I don't know if you guys wanted to jump in on this, just kind of talking about some of the smaller changes that you've implemented, achieving either whether you're working towards achieving a bigger goal or if you have achieved big change within your program. If you could talk about the steps that you have planned or some of the steps that you've taken.
Yeah, I can certainly speak to that. Ryan, if you want to go first, you can as well, or I can go first. It doesn't matter.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Okay. Certainly we do have plans that we would like to carry out within the next few years, and we break those down into month by month and season by season, how to attack things in a phase. What do we need to do today to be better tomorrow? How is that going to help us eventually be better in a year or in 2 years? And for us, I'm very sorry. And for us, I did speak about it earlier, and the fitness test was a big step for us. We wanted girls to come in knowing that it's going to be a competitive environment, and you need to come in prepared and ready to compete and ready to play and make sure that your body is healthy enough to do so. Again, I apologize immensely. And then, with that, we've also implemented other things such as lifting sessions with our strength and conditioning staff. And that would be something that is different for the team. Now, we address that with, again, we speak about health and we speak about safety. And, with a more competitive training style, we also say that you need to prepare your bodies in a way that's going to allow you to do so. And that's something that's been different for the team. And it's, make no doubt about it, it takes more time out of their day. twice a week, having that in-season lift, that takes away from, maybe a routine that they had once established in the past. And so altering that can sometimes cause people to feel uncomfortable. And as we all know as coaches, when people feel uncomfortable, they either rise to the occasion or they can, be a naysayer. But I do think that, the results of that and a low injury report, I think the girls have bought into that. And that's a very small change, but, they feel more confident on the field. They feel more confident off the field. They've perhaps become better with their time management skills, and that makes them a more confident, college athlete and student as well. So having changes that also, like I said, 2 times a week, in season isn't the largest change, but it's something that produces, again, a positive feel. And so that way for us, when we try to make more changes down the line, they're going to think back and say, I do remember how I felt after we implemented this. And I do remember the positive results we had after this. So I'm going to buy into this again. So I think showing the positive results that they receive is going to help in the future, whether that's on the field, in the weight room, and then, for us as a coaching staff, being cognizant of the players that we're bringing in the future to also buy into those. Ryan, I'm gonna let you take the rest.
I would say that probably the biggest is from a small thing on my end. I just wanted for soccer to be enjoyable, and that's not just for my players. That also goes for their parents, for their fans. Because I think if you can start that at a small level, like you don't want people to come, to soccer practice, feel like it's work and feel like, here I have to go do this. You want them to be invested, want them to love what they're doing. One of the things that I did was we went from being very, very drill based to being much more scrimmage and game based, so that players could find an enjoyment and organically find out some skills that you're going to need within the game. And directly, you're going to work on taking the ball to the wing and crossing. You put them in game situations and let them find that out and see what works and what doesn't work. And also just make sure, another thing we did was just the play style change. So we previously played very defensively when I was assistant, and, people like to score goals, people like watching goals. So how do you, embrace scoring goals, but also make sure that the importance of defense is not lost? And there's a way to do that, and everyone's embraced it. I think that's a good thing that's made us not only enjoyable to watch, but my players enjoy participating in, and it just increases the investment from everyone.
Definitely. I agree with that. That's always been my approach with younger teams, because people are just getting into the game and you got to sell it. And I think my goal is always to try and get every kid on the team to score a goal, and then the defense comes in because we got to win the ball in order to score goals. So I think just that fun component of, because when you're having fun, everything kind of tends to fall into place.
Absolutely.
Great. Mary, are you with us?
I'm here. Sorry about that.
It's okay. So we're talking about how big change is often the result of smaller changes. Do you want to talk about some successes you've had with smaller changes kind of rolling into big changes, or even if you're not there yet, what some changes you're starting to make and implement in order to achieve big change?
Are we talking technically, tactically, like amongst like how we play the game or how we teach our kids to play the game?
Just in terms of like culture shifts within your group. So if you in terms of combating naysayers or getting people online with your vision.
For sure.
Or professionally.
I've had the most success with kind of being myself and letting the kids gain trust. I'm not a fan of demanding their trust. I think that's something that's earned. Respect is one thing that you can maybe ask for them to listen and so on. But I give respect as much as I ask for it. I've always had success kind of just being myself with the kids or college players or youth soccer players. And I've always had I'm on board with just kind of enjoying being around me at practice. They tend to listen better. They tend to take instruction better. They tend to take criticism better. When they know somebody has their best interests, they tend to take those things and respond to them a little bit better. That's just from my past experience at college level, club level. So kind of, I guess, just getting them on board with who I am as a coach in person, over into my success, being able to give them information and critique them. And yeah, so that's kind of where I come from with that.
Okay, sorry, I think I froze there for a second. But yeah, it sounds like authenticity is, I think it will bring you success no matter where you're at, because people can tell when you're not being authentic and true to who you are. And I think your personality is your best asset in terms of anything that you do. And I think to use that for coaching is huge in getting people to buy into what you're doing.
For sure.
All right, guys. Well, that is an incredible discussion. I think we hit on a lot of great points today. So thank you to all those who have been watching. We got some great feedback, and I thank you all for being on today. Obviously, here at the NSCAA, we are gearing up for the 2017 convention in Los Angeles. So you'll see some of these guys out there in LA this January 11th to the 15th. Right now, for all the young coaches that are watching today, our U30 Coaches Experience is currently open for registration. It's a great way to learn more and get involved at the convention. And it really gives you some really great access and insights. We have some really fantastic presenters lined up, like Lily McNabb, Emma Hayes, and so forth, who are going to be doing Fireway Q&A sessions for our young coaches. They're part of that program, so definitely look into that. Obviously, if you haven't registered for your convention, do so. We're excited to see everybody out in LA this year. It's going to be fantastic. And obviously, we're also gearing up for our 2017 winter residentials. So if you're looking to take the next step in your career, be sure to look into those. We're going to be in Sacramento, California, and Sunrise, Florida, January 2nd through the 8th this year. And we're going to be having a National Diploma, Advanced National, Premier Diploma, and an Advanced National Goalkeeping Diploma available between those two sites. So definitely be sure to look into that. Thank you guys all for joining us today. I appreciate all your insight. And so I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. And thanks for jumping on.
Thanks, Emily. Thanks, Angie.
Thanks, Emily. Thanks, Angie.
Everybody. Have a good one.
Thanks,
All right,
everyone,
bye,
so
guys.
much. Thanks, Emily.